All right, well, it's noon, it's 12 o'clock, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna go ahead and we all have the ability right now, just for some housekeeping, to unmute ourselves. And you can find that in your Zoom window on the bottom left, where it will say mute and unmute. And so we are going to be discussing some things and asking a few questions and answering your questions. One of the functions that we will be using in Zoom is the chat. And so you can, if you have not gotten into the chat, we have been chatting. You do have the option to chat with individual panelists as well as all panelists and attendees. And so I just posted in the chat a hello and welcome. And so since we're a small group so far, I wanted to start with introducing myself as well as Kelly and Alicia, in case you do not know them already. I am Irene Bell. I am a faculty member in the EdTech program here at Loyola, and I'm also the faculty supervisor right now in charge for the micro-credentials. Kelly, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would love to, thank you. My name is Kelly Keene. I'm the program director for the Educational Technology program at Loyola and have been working really alongside of Irene with the launching of these micro-credentials, and have really been excited about what I've been seeing that's being developed. It's pretty amazing the work that is kind of coming out of it right now. So I'm really excited to share this with you and to get some feedback from everyone too.
And Alicia?
Eating lunch. Hi. I'm the Director of Professional Development for Ames, and I'm just going to sort of stay in the back seat here, but you're more than welcome to ask me any questions that you might have about the role that Ames is going to play in here. We're really just kind of helping our constituencies learn about this program that Loyola has put together with us, and they are really doing an amazing job of making sure that the quality of what's being designed right now is high. And that's a really wonderful thing for me to see from the outside. But I think Irene and Kelly are going to be able to answer most of your questions. But please feel free, anything that they can't answer, I will be here to comment upon.
Thank you, Alicia and Kelly. And so we will be taking questions, and as Alicia stated, we'll be answering them. Kelly and Alicia can answer them kind of off throughout this information session, as well as answering live. On your Zoom, I stated we will be using the chat. You're more than welcome to use the chat for questions. There's also a Q&A button that you can use if you want to ask a question without having everyone see it. And so Alicia, Kelly, and I will all get those notifications. And you are able with the Q&A button to submit it anonymously or with your name attached. So no questions are stupid, and we want to answer all of them today. All right, so let's start. I can't get my mouse there. There we go. First, the thing we want you all to do is to introduce yourselves to us, because we would love to hear from you all. And so we said through the chat, but since there are only 4 other people right now, what we'd love to do is have you unmute yourself and then just tell us who you are, what school you are working in, and then your role within that school. And so we're going to start with Suzanne.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Ward. I'm at Emerson Preparatory School.
Hi, I'm Carlene Blackburn. I'm at Emerson Preparatory School, and I'm the registrar.
Wonderful. So we have 2 people. Wonderful. Welcome. All right. And Stacy.
Hi, I'm Stacy Roshan. I'm at Willis School, and I'm the tech coordinator over here and also teach math.
Welcome, Stacy. And then we have Bob Kenyon.
Good morning, afternoon. I'm Bob Kenyon. I actually work at Loyola, have been kind of in the background, making sure that the Moodle is set up, and I'm just kind of lurking just to see this get kicked off.
Well, thank you, and welcome, Bob. And then Arpangchit.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Rosa Planchet. I work at Loyola Blakefield. I'm a science chemistry teacher, and I'm excited to learn about what this is all going to be about and ready to learn.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Rosa. All right. And so just for everyone's knowledge, I can't remember if I said it already or not, but we are recording this. So any questions or anything that you have, we are happy to share, and we will be sharing this with the larger community of those that could not make it today. I'm having mouse issues. Okay, there we go. So the first thing we wanted to kind of dig into is what is a micro-credential? And a micro-credential is a mini certification on a specific topic. And so you might see these in other platforms with badging, where you can earn badges, and where you get some intense training just on a specific topic. We are doing it with certificate-based items, sessions, and we have 4 ed tech topics that we are starting with. So our micro-credentials are going to be highly focused little classes on a specific topic. The 4 topics that we have coming this fall that you've most likely seen out there are the choosing and using tech tools for higher level learning, project-based learning, designing your curriculum for personalized learning, and leading tech professional development. And so the registration for these is now open, and I'm sure Alicia has been so good at blasting information about it and sending more. And so we are hoping to answer any questions you may have today based on these, as well as talk about kind of the design process and then what the participant is expected to do. Oh my PowerPoint just started going on its own backwards. So we are working Kelly and I are working very collaboratively with Alicia in creating these micro-credentials to be specifically focused for the independent school educator. We have 4 designers. Each designer is an alumni of our program with an educational technology graduate degree, and they're also current K-12 educators. One of those designers is a current Ames teacher, and he's been providing a lot of insight to us to ensure that we are focusing these with the independent school educator in mind, as well as Alicia has been guiding us in that fact. And so each of the designers are collaborating mainly with me, but Kelly's also being pulled into this, where we're helping them design these so that they are consistently high quality, that they have a lot of activities and items that focus on the actual micro-credential, the topic. We are using Quality Matters standards within these. We're aligning all of these, and that's an online, there's a rubric as well as standards for online teaching and learning. And so we are using the rubric and the standards to ensure that these are created with quality online components. And I'm going to invite Kelly if she would like to say anything more about that. She's more than welcome to.
Sure. I mean, I guess I would just chime in to say that, excuse me. Of course, there's a timer going off at my house. I guess I would just say that the whole idea of doing it with the Quality Matters rubric in mind is just based on the fact that we want to make sure these are designed very high with high quality in mind, meaning that everything is aligned, that the activities are engaging, that the course design itself is really top notch. And so using the Quality Matters standards, there's 8 different standards that range things from the instructional materials through the accessibility of the course itself, just ensures that we're able to meet the criteria that goes along with them. And I see, thanks for putting the link into the standards. If you're interested, you can just take a look at them. They are sort of the go-to standards in higher ed for high quality online courses. And so we're using them just for that very reason, just because we think it will provide the consistency and quality that we're looking for.
Thank you, Kelly. And so 2 other things that we are doing to ensure this high quality design, we are aligning these micro-credentials to meet the requirements for Maryland, DC, and Virginia for continuing professional development credit. This is for the certified educator within those states so that they can use these for recertification if they're interested. And we are conducting a review prior to the implementation of these micro-credentials. And the review will consist of current Loyola EdTech faculty, alumni of the EdTech program, and Ames educators. And we're working with Alicia again and pulling some Ames educators. And that review will ensure that that independent school educator is at the forefront and the focus of the learning, and that these all of the content and materials are, as Kelly said, accessible. Not only do they all work, but is it aligned to all of the Quality Matters standards, as well as the standards that are set forth within our Loyola program and for what the Ames organization is interested in and intending with this. All right, so these are probably more of the questions that you all have, other than the high quality design, is the participant time commitment. So each micro-credential will, the material will be presented over 5 to 6 learning modules, and that will span between 6 to 8 weeks. Each learning module is either structured within 1 or 2 week time period. And we'll talk about some flexibility in a minute. But each of the micro-credentials will be at least 15 hours of work. And that 15-hour stamp came from the continuing professional development component for the Maryland, Virginia, and DC, because 15 hours is considered 1 unit of continuing professional development. We will have extension activities and different pieces within it to go beyond those 15 hours, and those will be optional, and we're going to get into exactly what that means next. So the structure of the micro-credential, as we said, each module is going to have a specific focus that will support the entire topic. And so each module will have pieces that will be scheduled that will need to be done that week, or they'll be continuing. But it's also flexible. So it's not only flexible with time, where if you need more time to be able to complete it, you can have it. It's also flexible in how you use the information and what you have. There are a lot of options. One of the third micro-credential is the personalized learning, and really and truly, all of these micro-credentials are being created to be highly personalized. And so the flexibility, although we do need to ensure that the time is done within the 6 to 8 weeks, but we also want to make sure that you have time to be able to truly pull what you need from it and apply the learning. And that's where the authenticity comes in. All of the activities and learning components of each micro-credential are going to be authentic to your needs. And so it won't be creating work just to create work. You will be creating things that you can authentically apply within your learning environment, be it in your classroom, working with other educators in your school. However, whatever role you're in within your school, you'll be able to apply the learning, and all of the activities you will create them for your specific role within your school. And all of these are fully online, so you will not have to meet face-to-face with anyone or have to drive somewhere. There is the potential, we've been chatting about doing some synchronous sessions, and we're creating a few schedules for that, but they will all be recorded. So if the participant cannot make the fully online or cannot make the synchronous session, they will have the opportunity to view it later, similar to what we're doing now, where we're recording it for future viewing. Okay, so I think the other big question is, how are people being evaluated? We created a met, not met system. Our designers are creating the rubrics and all of the components to determine what a met activity looks like compared to a not met activity, and what needs to really be within those activities to be considered met. If someone receives not met, then they will receive feedback on how to move their product from not met to met. They'll be given the time to implement those changes, and then they'll be able to resubmit. And so the goal here is to grow learners and to ensure that you have that all of the learners have the support needed to be successful within these micro-credential programs. And so that's our goal is to have everyone meet the standards that we're setting forth and the expectations within the system. So here are some actual what's going on in the different micro-credentials. So this is the first micro-credential, which is choosing and using tech tools for higher level learning. Some of these that we have one for each micro-credential. Some of these are created by the designers. They're a little more in depth. I created this one, just pulling some items because the designer hasn't made some visuals. They're coming together, and the designs are looking great. They have a lot of the rubrics and the documents ready, but visuals of what's happening within them are not, we still have a little bit of time, so they're not quite made yet. So with the tech tools for higher level learning, the learner will get into the 4 C's and be able to actually explore tech tools within those 4 C's. They'll be learning about SAMR, and not necessarily tech tools aligned to SAMR, but how technology can redefine the classroom and how they can transform the learning in their classroom through the use of tech tools. They're going to be learning about how to grow their network, their professional learning network, and how to collaborate with others as they're transforming their classroom. And then they're also going to be looking at different design models and understanding, not only rubrics for the classroom, but also how to assess a piece of technology and know if it's appropriate, and how to assess lessons and activities that are out there with the SAMR model to see if it's just that substitution level or if they're actually transforming their learning. I think the participants in this will create will be integrating technology into their classrooms or into their work locations, as well as creating lessons with peer and instructor feedback on focusing on the 4 C's and SAMR and best practices for designing these types of activities. So project-based learning, our designer created this one. That's why it's a little smaller. So I do apologize for the tiny. And so with project-based learning, the participant will really dig into the basics of project-based learning, what it is, how to design one, and how to assess a project-based learning task. And the assessment goes beyond assessing the students in the project-based learning task, but also assessing already made project-based learning activities. So, if you find one out there on the internet or receive one, how to ensure that it's appropriate for your classroom and is aligned with the content needs of your classroom. So the learner in this micro-credential will be creating a project-based learning unit, and will be also evaluating their classroom for what would work best, focusing on, again, the 4 C's, getting into SAMR, any 21st century skills. They will get into the design, like backwards design, and how to create authentic tasks and evaluate those tasks. So our third one is designing your curriculum for personalized learning. And so this one is really getting into the crux of what personalized learning is, and some of the main points that are being being hit within this are creating a growth mindset, learning how to build relationships with both students and other teachers within the building. Really getting into that trust model of when you start personalizing your classroom, you need to not only learn your learners, but you also need to create a trusting environment for your learners. The tech tools, tech tools to personalize your classroom, as well as analyzing what tools are most appropriate. Again, those design models of designing these personalized learning units and curriculum, and then also getting into motivation strategies and how to motivate learners, as well as both K-12 learners as well as adult learners in personalizing your classroom, personalizing the classroom. The participant will create a personalized learning unit and reflect on how their curriculum could be designed to personalize with personalization in mind, and ensure that there's a personalized, that their classroom is personalized and their teaching and learning are personalized. Oh, see, it's going backwards again, saying, you're done, Irene. Okay. The last micro-credential that we're offering in this fall is the Leading Technology Professional Development. And again, this one was created by one of our designers. So there's a lot going on, and it's even smaller than the project-based learning. But with the technology integration piece, really focusing, the learner will really focus on technology integration models and protocols such as SAMR, TIM, the Technology Integration Matrix, and TPAC, the Technology, Pedagogy, and Content Knowledge model. And so within this, students will learn about tools, but really how to create professional developments that go beyond just the tool, that really go into how to transform that teaching and learning, kind of taking us back to Micro-Credential 1 and considering how to grow adult learners, going beyond that K-12 realm classroom and getting into that adult classroom, where the goal is to grow the teachers in their learning so that then they can go into their classrooms and grow their students in that learning. And so this micro-credential, the participants will be creating a professional development, a technology-focused professional development that they will receive peer and instructor feedback with the hopes that they can then implement it within their buildings. Okay, so I've done enough talking, and I want to make sure we can answer any questions you all have. You can unmute yourself at this point or add the chat, and I'm going to invite Kelly and Alicia to answer any questions that they see fit. The link at the bottom of the screen, that goo.gl, is our site, which I will also put in the chat. That has a little bit more information, has the descriptions, it has the links and all the registration links and those pieces. But we would like to answer any questions you may have. Does anyone have questions?
You did such a good job. There's nothing to say.
Pretty much. Okay, well, thank you. None? I'm sure they'll be coming.
Hi.
Hi, Rosa.
I just have a quick question. What about people like me that are trying to get better with the use of technology? Is that going to be an issue? Because I'm just like the older teacher trying to learn new tricks. And do you think that I will get overwhelmed trying to learn how to use all new tools and applying them?
So I'm going to answer this one. No, especially with that very first, I'm going to go back in this. Let's see if I can do it. No, I have to. Oops, sorry, friends. In the very first micro-credential, the choosing and using tools, this micro-credential is really focused on the less tech savvy educator. And all of our micro-credentials will have options. So you will not be, other than our main platform, which we're using a Moodle platform, other than that main platform to supply the learning, you will have options to choose what tools would work best for your classroom, for you and your classroom. And so the nice thing with this first micro-credential is it really just gets into it, although a lot of tools will be showcased and suggested, it will not be, I have to use every single tool within this thing. At the end, you will have kind of this like list of different tools that align to the 4 C's that you've analyzed as far as transforming your classroom. But the idea is that you will choose just a couple that you could actually implement. The facilitator, all of these will be facilitated by alumni of our program. And again, we're going to be working collaboratively with those facilitators to ensure that that they understand the online interaction and the learner to learner and learner facilitator and learner to content components of teaching online, which they learn in our program, but we'll learning about and doing, as you know, are 2 different things. So we're going to be supporting them. But so part of these, part of that learning is to help learners who need more help. And so Rosa, if you chose a tool that you might be interested in, but we're having some using difficulties, that's when you could reach out to other participants within the micro-credential as well as the facilitator to see what kind of help you could get. And that might be one-on-one help. It might be, a few people are having the same problem, so let's pull us all together and do, kind of like this, a recorded Zoom webinar, or maybe the facilitator can create a quick how-to video to showcase, to help you along your learning of not only the tool, but also implementing it in your classroom. And that goes with all of our micro-credentials. And so if you decide to go to, to do like the project-based learning, and I'm trying to get my mouse, and decided, wanted to look at a specific tool, that support would be there no matter which micro-credential you'll be in. Our first one is just really geared towards that, the less tech-sure learner. That was great.
I had a question too.
Yes, hi Stacy.
So it seems like most of this is going to be really self-paced, and you do it when you have the time to do it. Is there any collaboration with other people who might be taking the course kind of at a similar time period that you are?
Yes. So we are capping these courses at in the 20s. I can't remember the specific number, so that they're individualized and personalized and authentic. But within those, one thing that we are, Kelly and I, Dr. Keene and I are doing with the designers is ensuring that there is learner to learner interaction. So the designers are building activities as well as the possibility of synchronous sessions and all of these different components that learners can learn together. And so I had mentioned that there's peer feedback. There's going to be activities where the learners will have to work in small groups. There's activities that they will have to, showcase what they're doing so far and give feedback to one another. Our idea is to grow to the participants within this micro-credential, just not to work on their own, but to grow a community just even within that micro-credential. And we understand that there are going to be people from all over the Ames, all the Ames schools that are within this. And so just growing those connections within the small group, and then also exploring how other connections that might be outside through like the professional learning network, the PLM pieces that are showing up kind of in all of them. Yes, and so Kelly made a good point. It is, there is a start and end date. It isn't open enrollment like a lot of other programs are. So although there is flexibility, like you said, in when, there's still going to be some milestones that you're still expected to meet, just so you're not in it for, 6 months by yourself, so that we keep up that community feel. That was a great question, Stacy. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Does the credential expire? Not right now. We haven't had that. I'm going to let Dr. Keynes.
I don't know off the top of my head, but we'll look into it and find out if there is some sort of expiration date on it. As far as I know, there is not, but I don't want to say that if we haven't verified it for sure. So we'll get back to you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
That's a good
I
question.
think what they mean is it won't expire from Loyola, but it might expire for the state of Maryland.
Right.
Okay, so for the state of Maryland, so it's a 5-year, each course, when we apply, we've applied for the CPD, it's for 5 years that we offer the course. So for the 5 years that we offer the course, we can give out that CPD credit. That credit can be used for recertification. So you have, I guess, 5 years to utilize to get so many. Okay, so you're in Virginia, perfect. So with Virginia, it's a little different, but with you have so many years to get so many credits. It's usually within the time period of your certificate, and then you have to submit. For Virginia, we will supply you with the needed information. We've gone on the site. Virginia is slightly different than Maryland, where there's not an application, so we don't have to get it pre-approved. But instead, we will supply you with all the documents you need to then apply it to your certificate. And so that's Virginia and DC are the same way, where instead of an application like in Maryland, there's you just have to have your certificate and a couple other pieces, and we will ensure that you have those pieces so that you can just take it and bundle it into your renewal. So that was a good question. All right, any more? I know Alicia said it was till 12:30 and it's 12:32. So I want to thank everyone for coming. We did have we were wondering from you if you had any suggestions for any other topics you'd like to see offered. We are planning on expanding and offering and having more topics for next year. And we're starting to get into the idea phase of brainstorming what those could be, as well as best strategies for promoting these in your school. We've been working with Alicia on doing that, but if you have any suggestions, we'd love to hear from you either verbally or through the chat. But since it is 12:30 and Alicia said till 12:30, we want to make sure your time is, your time is valuable. So thank you so much. And I'll stay on to answer any other questions that you have. And thank you for coming.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you, Alicia.